Our webinar will focus on the financial impacts of coronavirus COVID-19 with a specific view on the convenience store industry. So before we introduce our panelists, I would like to invite Rahim Budwani, who is the Business Services Member for National AKEPB USA, to say a few words. Rahim?
Thank you, Arshi. Yalamat, everyone. To all the attendees from the United States and our global Jamaat who have dialed in together in this webinar organized by the Aga Khan Economic Planning Board for the United States. Yalamat. We are operating in a unique and unprecedented times. COVID-19 has changed the face of global economy, and in order to survive, humanity as a whole has to adapt. And our business will also need to adapt. I would like to touch on three key items during my comments this afternoon. My first item is ethical and moral standards. Keeping the values of our faith and guidance of Hazar Imam, we need to ensure that we observe the highest ethical standards in our personal and business practices, even and especially now during these difficult times. As we sell high-demand products to our consumers, we must be very careful about how we price our products. We do not want to be seen as we are gouging our customers when they need us the most. We are here to provide value and convenience for them. And also, when we apply for the government loans and grants, like the SBA loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, we need to be absolutely sure to follow all the rules and guidelines at all times. We should use this money we are getting for the intended purposes too. That is, to protect jobs of our employees and maintain a cash cushion for our business during these difficult times. We cannot and should not engage in any behavior that could be seen as fraudulent. Engaging in fraudulent and fraud is a serious issue, even at best of times, so it should be avoided at all times. My second topic is financial resources and accessibility to funds. We should consider how we can be financially prudent and not take unnecessary risks during these times. There are a lot of grants and assistance programs that are offered by the government. Our Jamaati credit unions, Missouri, Pioneer, and Fed Platinum are ready or quickly getting ready to process the SBA and the PPP loans. They hope to do this with a quick turnaround and are making themselves available to assist our Jamaat and business owners. Since the demand of these loans are so high, please be sure to leverage any other existing banking relationship that you may already have with other banks. This might allow you to get things done even faster if possible. All banks typically prioritize their existing customers before making room for new customers. And as we know that the stimulus program has a specific amount of money that has been allocated for these programs, so it is important that we apply for this loan sooner than later. Next, we should also consider how we can improve the state of our business and at the same time continue to employ our Ismaili brothers and sisters. Government loans like the PPP are specifically created to help and retain our employees and pay our employees. These loans of the government can be forgiven if the employer maintains the employee headcount and payroll. So we should make the most out of this to help protect our business and our trusted employees for long-run success. My third topic is about safety and security. As we adjust our business models to overcome the current economic challenges, we should do everything possible to ensure the safety and security of our employees and of our customers. This is a very critical issue that can impact a long-term value on a business. Jamaati institutions have come together with resources to help us through this challenging time. EPB, and all our institutions have come together to create this webinar like this one for the benefit of the Jamaat. Our goal is to provide the Jamaat with accurate and timely information that is useful and practical, and we can work together to overcome these challenging times. EPB has additional resources for you to use, like our economic resource guide, providing details on programs and benefits available to you at the city, state, and national level. This report is also available at the AICC website. EPB has created an economic response team. It is a large team of trained and industry-specific expert volunteers who are specialists in different fields. They are available to do better to assist and support our Jamaat. Also, if anyone needs guidance and assistance, please reach out to us through the Access Helpline. It is truly inspiring to see that our past and present leaders of our Jamaat, along with the leadership of our trade associations, have come together in the spirit of cohesiveness. We truly are one Jamaat, and we are pulling together our collective resources and knowledge for the benefit of the brothers and sisters. Keeping with all the comments I made earlier, today's webinar's objective is to provide you with the information on how you can adjust your business model and face the current challenges with strength and a sense of unity and hope. Hope. Because hope is one thing that stays with you when everything else is lost. And I think about how we can position our businesses to benefit from this and the long-term trends and opportunities that will follow. We have a panel of experts on this webinar who will provide practical guidance and solutions and will share examples on how they are surviving this crisis and how you too can implement similar strategies to improve the state of your business and also position our business for the future. Thank you, and Yalimadat.
Rahim, thank you for sharing with us what work EPB and our institutions are doing for anyone in the Jamaat needing assistance. I want to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded and will be available to everyone on the AICC website in the next 24 hours at ismailichamber.org. Now let's begin the next part of our webinar. This will be a moderated conversation and will last approximately 60 minutes. And I would encourage all our listeners to please submit their questions via the question toolbox at the bottom of your web browser. During this session, our experts will talk about practical approaches on how C-store owners and operators could deal with the impact of COVID-19 in the coming days and months. Our panelists for today are going to be Mehdi Ali, Chairman of NATA, National Alliance of Trade Associations, Ahmed Hassora, former President of GHRA, Greater Houston Retailers Association, Amin Lalani, former President of Florida Retailers Association, Amjad Kadwani, a CPA and an advisor for NATA, and Iqbal Ali, who is an entrepreneur and investor with multiple stores. So with that, I will start with the first question to Ahmed. Ahmed, we have all heard about how quick and deep the impact of COVID-19 has been on unemployment and the overall economy. Being a long-time C-store owner and having deep connections in the community, can you share what are you hearing and seeing about COVID-19 impact, specifically on C-stores and gas stations?
Yalimadat Afshi, thank you so much for the question, and thank you to the Jamaat for coming on call. I just want to start off by saying that this is not a unique situation to the community. We've had challenges in the past, And I'm going to constantly use the reference to the 2008 financial crisis, where we faced a similar problem. Now, the first thing when you call someone and you talk to them about how business is, they say, oh, well, my fuel sales are down. Naturally, there's a lack of demand for travel. People are sitting at home. Fuel sales are the first thing to go. And it would be nice to have good fuel sales right now since our margins are great, better than they ever have been. But what we're missing out on is the long-term approach of this specific pandemic on the economy. So if you take a look back at the 2008 financial crisis, when the markets crashed, it wasn't an immediate impact on our businesses. We started feeling the burn over the course of 6 months. And that's when we started realizing, okay, things are beginning to affect us because the economy around us, businesses that are engaged in different areas are beginning to be affected. So right now, Houston has only been in lockdown for 2 weeks. And I use Houston because that's where I'm from. But if you take into account that in 2 weeks, people are still relatively okay on cash. So they come into the stores, sales are okay, that temporary layoff is fine, manageable. 2 more weeks from now, that temporary layoff may become permanent. And suddenly you find companies that are insolvent. They don't have any money left anymore. So there's a bunch of companies out there that are going to be broke, and then there's going to be a considerable layoff. And that's when we begin to feel the burn that this is beginning to impact our business, and this is going to hurt us in the long run.
Thank you, Ahmed. So the next question is for you, Iqbal. We have been hearing from the health professionals about the importance of social distancing in controlling the coronavirus transmission. Can you share what steps a C-store business owner can take in their store to help safeguard their employees and their customers?
Thank you for having me, and everybody, thank you for. The safety of our employees and customers is the highest priority for our business. Let's start from the employee perspective. We have this fear that we need to remove from our employees and show them that we can support them and be compassionate towards them. They are the front line of our business. For all our locations that we're operating, we are making our employees wear gloves, masks, also a face shield, which is relatively inexpensive to cover the remainder of their faces and especially protect their eyes. We've installed 1/4-inch plexiglass sheets over checkout areas and other high traffic areas to protect both the employees and the customers. We're not allowing refills of fountain and coffee, and we're seriously considering stopping the self-serve for the time being. On the floor, we've got the keep the distance decals, and we're maintaining CDC standards for cleaning. We're following the CDC protocol continuously all throughout the day to make sure our cleaning is getting done. In addition, our local TA, Gamma, has been proactive to hire EnviroMaster, a cleaning service to sanitize and disinfect the stores on a weekly basis. EnviroMaster is spraying a disinfectant on all high traffic areas, restrooms, entrance doors, cooler doors, gas pumps, cash registers, pin pads, all the high touch points. And this service is giving both our consumers and employees a level of comfort and trust. We are dependent on our customers, but their behavior will also change. They'll be looking less at our gas prices to see what we're posting and start looking at our locations critically from the cleanliness standpoint. We need to make them feel at ease when they visit our locations. Going forward, we plan to have sanitizer dispensers and gloves available at each gas pump for the customers to use. A uniformed member of our staff will be cleaning, disinfecting door handles, cooler doors, pumps to give the consumers a sense of security. We're gonna start labeling specific areas in the store pumps that have been cleaned and disinfected by using like a small sticker. They need to know we're serious about safety, and we need to make that cleanliness visible to our customers. The stigma or fear of COVID-19.
Iqbal?
Yes, sorry. The stigma of COVID-19 may live on for years. People are going to be scared. It may be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The steps I've described here today are simple and easy to implement for each store owner. We need to up our game. We need to make cleanliness a priority now, or we'll end up losing our customers. Thanks.
Iqbal, this is great information for all of us to know and know that you're also implementing in your own store. So thank you for that. So Amin, a somewhat related question to you. If your employee is uncomfortable due to coronavirus concerns and does not want to work for the next few weeks, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, with everybody. Thank you, Afshi. And just want to say that this is a very sensitive question in terms of if you are doing everything that what Iqbal just mentioned, if you're making sure that your store is a safe environment, not only for your customers or for your employees, by providing them gloves, taking care of all the necessary precautions that have been in the guidelines for CDC, I think the employees should feel safe in the store. But there are situations like that where employees want to stay home. They're scared to come to work. They are in concern about their family. They want to make sure that their loved ones at home are safe, and they want to self-quarantine or whatever the reason may be. The biggest thing to know is that be very sensitive in dealing with this situation. The biggest thing is the employees are your front line. Our stores operate based on the help and the services that are provided by our employees. Hand-holding is very important at this time. Be vigilant, be very careful, look at the labor laws around you, look at everything that's available, guide your employees, make sure you do some hand-holding. Assure them that you have a safe environment, but if they feel that they need to stay home, let it be. Don't hold that against them. I would be very cautious in doing so. And on top of that, there's so much layoff that's going around. This is the best time for us to have some signs outside the stores, in the doors, online, Indeed, where we post applications for help needed, help wanted. There's so many little things that we always do in our business that can help us, right? Besides the point, if we have an issue where we are losing employees, maybe look into cutting some hours, look at the operation hours, look at the actual busy traffic hours, look at how you can save some employee hours during that time. But I would be very careful and use the human aspect more than ever before. I know we always use it, but this is the best time to utilize the human aspect in the business.
So thank you, Amin, for that, for sharing that. So going back to Ahmed, earlier you had mentioned that C-store businesses have seen the impact or will be seeing the impact and will be experiencing cash flow challenges in the next coming weeks. Can you share how single store owners who may not have that much cash reserve, how they should be thinking about managing their cash flow for the next few weeks and really months to come while we all wrap our heads around the economic impact of this virus to our businesses?
Excellent question, Afshi, and I'd like to expand on the previous answer by starting off with this. And this is a very self-reflection question for everyone. Every member that's on right now needs to ask themselves this question honestly and sincerely. And when I think about my business, I have to be honest and say, you know, for the past 10 years, our business has enjoyed a relative prosperity. And our cash management and our category management has gotten lax because of it, because we're so used to the economy being good. We're so used to seeing everything turn out well that we're not preparing for where things are going to go down the line. Now, keeping that in mind, we have to remember that we need to start looking at cash flow as a lifeline. If we are buying things, unwittingly, just going out, getting what we can without giving a thought, can we sell this product in the store? Then we're setting ourselves up for a bad situation come when we run out of cash. And this is especially important if you're in money service businesses. There's a lot of convenience stores out there who do check cashing, myself included. We have to start realizing that 10 years ago, when we faced the financial crisis, we started realizing there's companies that are about to go under and that are issuing payroll checks that are not worth anything. So we have to look at the fact that these checks that are coming in now, the company may be good for 10 years, but this isn't what 10 years was. This is now. This is the current reality and economic situation that we're facing. Now, with that said, I want to keep this back in terms of how do you extend your lifelines. And when you look at the fact that we have a lot of resources that we can tap into, we can obviously reach out to our trade associations, our credit unions. There's also the PPP loan and the EIDL loan. These loans are going to be available at a low interest rate to help you keep going for a certain extended amount of time. One thing to be optimistic about, and this is going back to what Rahim Bhai had said earlier, this is a moment in history. And like the previous event that we had, this will pass like all the others. But we have to be ready to take this on and go through it as smoothly as possible. So take a time out to understand what your cash flow is, what your cash liquidity is, how much you have available to you. And if you need help, reach out to your credit unions, apply for the SBA loans, and then also at the same time, talk to your landlords, talk to your banks about delaying mortgages. Almost all banks are supporting this at this time. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that people are treating the PPP and the EIDL loans very lax, but you have to understand this is federal government money, and it does come with some strict regulations. And I want everybody to be careful when they apply for these loans, because the money has to be used for its intended purposes. So let's be careful when we move forward with this, but let's keep all these things together as we move forward in the next 6 to 9 months.
So thank you, Ahmed. So Amjad, as Ahmed stated just now, that we should be looking to be planning for, experiencing these cash flow shortages that we may have coming up in the next few weeks or months. Can you briefly talk about the various government assistance programs through SBA, the EIDL, and the PPP that Emma just talked about very briefly, and also the application of funds that our C-store owners can qualify for?
Sure. Yaliman, everyone. For most of the programs, my key message is apply, apply, apply. Do not procrastinate. Put a phone calendar reminder at regular intervals, reminding you to apply for all government assistance programs. Put yourself in the line as early as you can, as funds have a cap. Most of the programs offered are designed to achieve two major goals: survival of small businesses, even if your business is currently minimally impacted, and employee retention and protecting employee paycheck. All business owners qualify for all government programs. Applying for EIDL does not disqualify you from other programs as long as the funds are used for intended purposes. A common myth is, if my business is profitable, I do not qualify for the PPP loan or the EIDL loan, and that is not true. The PPP program specifically is meant to protect your employees from being laid off, and also your business essential payments such as rent, utilities, and business loans are paid. Apply even if you don't need these funds now, as we don't know how long this pandemic may last. For each legal entity, file separate applications as each legal entity qualifies for these programs. The EIDL, the max forgiveness amount is $10,000, like the slide says. You have to apply directly with SBA. The EID, the PPP, all amounts of the loan could be forgiven as long as it's within the $10 million limit, and you apply through your local bank or credit unions. The employee retention credit, as you can see on the slide, is $5,000 maximum per employee, and the credit can be taken on your employment taxes form, or if you have any credit balance on that credit form, you could claim it through by filing Form 7200 with IRS. Next slide, please.
So,
yeah, sure, yes, go ahead.
no, sorry, continue. My apologies.
Unlike other SBA forms, which people tend to shy away from because they're very lengthy and seeking a lot of information, both the EIDL and the PPP forms are very simple. They require basic information. All the information required is with you, your accountant, or your payroll processor. There are simple checkbox questions. And if you need any additional assistance, call EPB, call Access for supporting filling out these forms. For the benefit of the Jamaat, there will be a video on the PPP that EPB will be releasing soon, so keep an eye for that. Do not procrastinate, but answer the questions accurately and truthfully. Stay calm. Be flexible as a lot of rules, forms, and documents request. List is changing, but there is no need to panic. Also make sure the funds are used for intended purposes, as there is a large non-taxable forgiveness portion of the PPP loan amount. Thank you.
Thank you, Amjad. That was great information. It was good to know that business owners can apply for all of these loans and still qualify for them without having to worry about one versus the other. So thank you for that information. So again, if those in the audience, if you wish for more information or assistance on the SBA government programs that Amjad just talked about, please call the Access Helpline. There are trained volunteers available to assist you with these programs. So moving on, Amin, I wanted to ask you, if the store owner decides to go ahead and close the store, what steps should that owner take?
Thank you, Afshi. Great insight, Amjad Bhai. And I'm going to kind of follow up on Amjad Bhai's comments and how to figure out, because this is a tough question in terms of the situation, right? We don't want anybody, and we pray that this situation doesn't come to anybody where they have to close down. And what is the primary reason to close down? Is it something that an employee tested positive in the facility, or is it something that's affecting due to all these financial options that Amjad Bhai has already mentioned? And is it due to that? Are you not able to sustain your business after applying for some of these loans? So basically, I would look at both of these things. If there is a situation where the store has been infected based on an employee testing positive, there's a lot of options. Like Iqbal mentioned earlier, that Gamma had done a great job of reaching out to EnviroMaster. There are lots of companies available out there that are CDC certified for the COVID-19 cleanup. You want to make sure that your store, the option is there. We want to make sure. Now, in case all this, you have tried everything and you still have to close down, the biggest thing I would mention is that making sure that you're securing all your high value items like cigarettes, tobacco, electronic cigarettes, making sure that you inform your landlord, making sure that if you own the real estate, call your mortgage company, let them know you're in a situation and you have to close down the store. I would put up signs maybe to make sure the customers understand that this is only a temporary close down. It's due to the COVID-19 coronavirus situation, and you're not closing down permanently. And we all hope and pray that this situation doesn't arise. You want to make sure that your alarm is functioning properly. Make sure you contact your alarm company, mention to them that you will be closing temporarily. Make sure they put extra patrol around your store. In Florida, we have seen that many stores have hurricane shutters for safety and security. I would highly recommend to make sure to look into that option. How can you protect your investment? How can you take some of these measures? Talk to your local law enforcement, right? You have friendship with your customers that are also your police officers that come in the store. Mention to them. Most of all, I think I would sit down with the team, with all the employees, make them understand why is that you have to close down. Let them know that you're there. When you open up, you would want that team to be back in action. And most of all, be vigilant, be careful, make sure that you are creating a good atmosphere around your team, and let them understand that you're going through the situation. And also make sure they understand that if they have to reach out for an employment, you have some funds available for their pay, please mention to them, give them the options. This is the time to work together, handhold, and also make sure that we all come out of this in a positive sense.
Thank you, Amin. So I'm going to address a question that has come in through the chat. And the question talks about carrying workers' compensation insurance, which, in some states is optional. And if any employee does catch the virus, COVID-19, while at work, yes, as it may be difficult to prove, where will this liability stand with whom, with the owner, and how does the owner deal with it? So for these type of specific questions, we urge you to please call the access line. EPB does have professionals who are on the volunteer team who can assist you and guide you with this question. Please call the access line, and that number is 844-552-2237. So with that, the next question is for Chairman Mehdi. So Chairman Saab, PAs और नाटा हमारी जमाती इंस्टीट्यूशंस के साथ मिलकर काम कर रही है जमात की मदद के लिए। क्या आप शेयर कर सकते हैं कि ट्रेड एसोसिएशन सी स्टोर्स मेंबर्स के लिए क्या कर रही है? Chairman Saab? Chairman Mehdi? Okay. So while we wait for Chairman Mehdi to...
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Chairman Saab.
Yes. Yalimadad Afshin, thank you, and Yalimadad to all. Thank you, Afshin. And I think a lot of great points already came up. I just going to go quickly. And NATA and Trade Association are working very closely together. In fact, we are trying to do every week call, and we have a WhatsApp group that we pass the communication to each other and trying to pass the best practices amongst each other. So I'll get it to the 3 points. First of all, of course, everybody talk about safety and security. That's the #1 issue right now, to keep the employees and keep yourself safety and secure, right? So अपनी जमात में अभी थोड़ा बहुत एक challenge ये आया कि a lot of employees has quit, and store owners are working on the front line instead of back line. So that's the major challenge we see. So what we did is we have provided a lot of gloves, sanitizers, masks, and even a lot of store already placed, just like Iqbal mentioned, the plexiglass, or you can call sneeze guard front of the cashier counter, where customer and employees are both safe. A lot of signs are made to the store where keep the social distancing 6 feet and only 10 customers allowed per at a time, right? So something like that, we already applying it. A lot of stores are very happy with that, and I think that's why the members are still opening the store and they're doing the business. The challenge is that right now the employee part, where a lot of employees, just like Amin mentioned, that we cannot force them to stay at our work. That's their whole decision at the end, because this situation is completely different, and we all need to understand as a human also, that if somebody decides to stay home, we just need to stay positive right now. I know they didn't even give the notice, and everybody is frustrating right now. But as a human, just think about it, and then make the decision as per that, because we cannot force anybody to keep working if they are scared or so, because we are not responsible. If something happened to them, God not said, then we don't want to be responsible for that. So that's very important. But NATA and Trade Association are doing very well, and I'm very proud of this whole team here working together. कि उन लोग अपने एम्प्लॉय को every चीज प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, जो भी बन सकता है. They are doing well enough to keep their places very clean, sanitized, and even customer are. I'm hearing very good comment on customer side too. Customers are very happy. They're saying you guys are doing a phenomenal job. So that's also I want to elaborate more to our community, that customers are watching, and they are very thankful that we are opening our store and providing the core items. So our members are very working hard. They are going to the warehouses to pick up those stuff and bring it to the consumer, because you know lately the big boxes cannot keep the core item on the shelf. As soon as they get it, their wipe out in an hour or even less than an hour. So जब हमारे स्टोरों में ये चीजें मिलती है, तो customer are very thankful, and they are very secure feeling coming into our store, because there's a less foot traffic there, and very clean store, and they can get the core item from that. So we need to understand that we try to open our store. I understand the challenges is less employees, but there's other resolution is that you can cut down your hours, right? If you have a less employees, बहुत कम employee है तो आपको खुद को काम करना पड़ रहा है. So don't put too much burden on yourself. थोड़ा कम काम करो, यानी कि 7 to 7 कर लो या 8 to 8 कर लो, whatever you prefer. We can only suggest to you whatever we feel like. But जो आपको अच्छा लगता है, आपके हिसाब से comfort में रहना है, क्योंकि at the same time we want to make sure our community is safe out there too. As you know, this number are rising. That this can be hit our community. Once this hit our community, then fear will be more bigger than today there is today, right? So उसका बहुत मैं emphasize करूँगा कि make sure they keep that safety for themselves too. And then the other point.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
So yeah, my last point is about that. Of course, we are encouraging everybody to file, just like I just mentioned, apply. Make sure you apply, but please take the expertise guidance on that to make sure whatever you're putting on that form up to date and correct information. That is very important, because if tomorrow somebody want to verify you, you should have a document that backs up that verification. That's the way you get approval and you get this money and you can benefit out of it. Thank you, Akshay.
Thank you, Chairman. And the form you were referring to, and Chairman साहब जो form आप जो अभी जो उसके बारे में बात कर रहे थे, that is the PPL and the EIDL जो SPA के जो government forms के बारे में बात कर रहे थे right now, right?
जी, correct.
Okay, sure. Just मुझे खाली make sure करना था. Thank you for that information. So next question is for Amin. Amin, as we heard Chairman Mehdi and Ahmed and even Iqbal talk earlier about decreased foot traffic. So with this stay-at-home advisory in most of the nation, the traffic flow into the businesses is significantly down. So can you share some good practices to increase traffic and revenue?
Sure, thank you, Afshi. Chairman, great points on some of the employee aspect that you mentioned. And one more thing I just wanted to add quickly on that is that some, including ourselves, we have done a quick, appreciation of all our employees, where we are passing some whatever monetary value that we can provide them. This is a good time because we know businesses are doing okay for now. There are some challenges, the gas volumes are low, but we want to make sure that our employees feel appreciated. So one best practice that we're using is we're trying to pass on some bonuses during the pay periods for all our employees. So I wanted to share that before I take that question. Actually, on the challenges of how do you improve the foot traffic and how do you improve revenue, I would take this as a two-pronged, a short-term and a long-term approach. Meaning that it's very important right now with all the technology that's available, we have to have online presence, visibility of our stores. I wish that we were all ready before this COVID-19 situation arose. If we were ready, we could have taken care of a lot of these, delivery options that have come out. A lot of the companies have online apps that they are ordering through. Some of these things are, available. But are we ready? Are we ready to take this? Are we ready internally? Do we have a good operating POS system? A point of sale? Do we have a good back office software like C-Store Pro or ModiSoft? Our TAs and NATA has done a phenomenal job on negotiating some of these prices with these vendors. And these services are available. Now, how do you utilize? How do you make sure that these things are available for you? Reach out to the TAs, reach out to NATA, make sure that you're able to use these services that are available. You have to use some sophistication in order for us to move into that virtual world or the online delivery or any of the apps providing loyalty, providing scan data options, providing discounts and revenue increase. All this requires a good setup. You have to have a strong infrastructure. So I would highly recommend that all of our members, our Jamaati owners, look into these options, reach out to your TAs. Because in the end of the day, for our example, Circle K has done a good delivery program with Favor, but right now it's only at a corporate level. We're still, as a franchisee, seeking this option through the Circle K franchise program, but we haven't accomplished that. But we have infrastructure ready. So hopefully all of our brothers and sisters who are in this business need to look into this option, have this vision of how do you expand your, your business, your customers. One thing that in the first webinar that Chairman Rafiq Dasani said is that cash is king and the other king is online. And I highly believe in that comment. And I think we should all look into that option.
And thank you, Amin. These are really great points. I think this is very forward-looking. I wanted to ask you, Iqbal, if you had any thoughts that you wanted to also share on improving traffic flow and revenues.
Sure, Afshi. And I'm just going to add a little something to what Amin had said earlier. There's definitely great apps and things out there for delivery, but we've also kind of played around with the idea of doing a modified curbside service. And some stores are already actually implementing this. Basically, have a store phone number or an email kind of published, mark it out to as many customers as you can, have a designated parking spot where a customer could pull up. They can place the order either over email or on the phone, and your cashiers, since they're not that busy and there's less traffic coming into the stores, they can package that order, take it out to their car, process payment, and let them be on their way without them having to step foot inside the store. It's simple. We have a limited amount of SKUs in our stores, and this is something that could work. Yes, it's not ideal. It's not an app, but this is something that's manageable, right? On the other side, basically, fuel sales have been drastically impacted, right? But in terms of commercial traffic, diesel sales, there's even a small uptick, I think. There's more trucks, vans, delivery, commercial vehicles on the road. I think you should start contacting your local fleet accounts and being more aggressive on your diesel price. Take advantage of this commercial traffic that's out there. If you're more aggressive and you can drive more diesel traffic to your site, that's going to also result in more revenue and more foot traffic. Start using social media. Get a Facebook page, a Yelp page. Tell your regular customers to promote it. Let them know what products you have available on the social media pages. Let them post videos of the staff cleaning, making sure that you're doing your part as a store owner. These are, a few small steps that we can take, easy to implement, right? And make things happen, make our customers and make the traffic come back into our stores. Social media is going to be a big platform regardless. So thank you.
So thank you, Iqbal and Amin. This was great to hear about things that both single stores and multi-store owners can take, different approaches, and to be able to support the revenue. So thank you, this was great. The next question is for Chairman Mehdi. और चेयरमैन साहब, आपने थोड़ी देर पहले अभी मेंशन किया था कि क्राइम्स बढ़ रही हैं, तो सी स्टोर ओनर्स को क्या अपनी बिजनेस की हिफाजत करने के लिए क्या स्टेप्स लेना चाहिए?
Sure, Akshit. So of course the crime जो है वो बढ़ते ही रहेंगे. This is the time, right, where the robberies and the breakings are started. So I think there's a key component to that. I will request everybody to make sure their insurance are up to date, then their camera systems are up to date, and the last and very important, their alarm system. Especially their alarm system, they need to test weekly at this point of the time of the current situation, and then make sure their wireless system is working very well with the monitoring system, where whoever they have a monitoring system with. So I think if you call the company and make sure they go through with you, and they will make sure they'll test all your elements, and then they give you satisfaction that you good for a month or 2-3 weeks or whatever. So please keep testing that, because this is a very important factor where you can stop the crime. क्योंकि अगर ये चीजें अगर आपकी सही काम नहीं कर रही है, then it's hard to catch the crime, because when you report to police department or so, you need to have all those evidence together. Then you can support and help catching those crimes, right? So I think I'll urge everybody to make sure, keep your insurance in line, make sure they are top line insurance. Safety and security, your camera system should work very well. And then last thing is that your alarm system needs to be updated, and wireless system needs to be worked very well.
And thank you, Chairman Saab. So as we all know and recognize that these are unprecedented times. So Ahmed, as the convenience store owners focus on sustaining their businesses, what are the opportunities for the business owner, like enhancing relationships with customers and communities in which the store is located, that can potentially help the business in the long run?
So this is a very good question, Afia. I'm glad you asked. I want to refer back to the Q&A. There's a Jamati member who actually wrote, "This is a time to build goodwill." Ibrahim Jawani, I think, is the Jamati member that I'm referring to here. And Ibrahim Bhai, what a good thought. What a great idea. We are so caught up right now in trying to assess ourselves, trying to build a business, trying to do everything we can to be profitable. But what we don't realize is that sometimes our greatest asset is going to be an act of kindness to somebody in need, especially to first responders, police, firefighters, emergency aid workers, anything to that end. So I just want to say that while we are busy and we are trying to create all these things around us to set us up successfully for business, we need to be thinking about, well, what is it that somebody else can really use our help with? And we're in a unique position. Hamari position ek aisi hai कि we have access to resources and materials and products that a lot of people don't. I'll use a personal example. I got a request from my bank who was short on hand sanitizers. They reached out to me and said, are you able to help me? I said, absolutely. Whatever I can do. You've been here for me for 20 years. Certainly I can do this much for you. So take a moment out and just examine what it is around the community, what your position is, and how you can help somebody out, because you may not see it today. You may not see it tomorrow, but I guarantee you down the line, this act of kindness will pay great benefit to a business owner. And I know there's Jamati members out there who have already engaged in the community, providing services to first responders and emergency health workers. So this is again, a great thought in general about how we can position ourselves and create a positive reflection of the community and the associations. And one thing I want to say in terms of how to set ourselves business-wise, we have to start examining our business. Let's say, for example, I have a store. I have 3 different operating franchises inside. I have a chicken, I have a pizza, I have a deli. I have to realize that maybe it's not profitable or viable to operate all 3 at this time. Maybe I can take staff away from one of them, close it down temporarily, and use that resources elsewhere, and make sure that I'm putting my attention to where we can really use that resource, employee resource. And another thing we can do is we are good at adapting. Convenience stores, Veparis in general, we can adapt to any situation we need to. So if today our number 1 selling items are masks, hand sanitizers, toilet paper, sure, why not? Go for it. Whatever it takes to position yourself in a better position. It seems humorous, but the customer who's looking for these items will appreciate it a lot. Now, on top of that, one thing that I think everybody needs to evaluate is, this is a good time for reflection and looking at your business and thinking, what am I missing? Kya kami hai mere business mein? Main kya kar sakta hu mere business ko improve karne ke liye? So if you think you're short on technology, as Amin Bhai mentioned, ModiSoft, Z-Store Pro, there's software out there that can help you get a better grip on your business. If you feel like you need better category management, then you can take a look at your shelving, talk to your trade associations about how you can set up proper category management, and then also how to track inventory better. Maybe go to a full scanning system if you don't already. So there's a lot of small things we can do right now that's going to be beneficial in the long run, but we have to start adopting and researching those things now.
So thank you, Ahmed. And so Iqbal, while it's difficult, to conceive anything positive from this COVID-19 experience, and Emma just shared some positive steps that we can take to support the community. Can you share, Iqbal, what positive twist steps or actions that you can take from this experience from your business perspective for the C-store business itself?
I think what's positive is our stores have gone from an impulse, like a buy and consume now. 83% of what's sold in a convenience store is consumed within an hour. Now they've become a more primal, bring home the stuff. Our stores are looking more like small grocery stores instead of that little corner store. right? So that's a positive aspect and a mentality that's going to set in on the consumer going forward, right? In addition to that, the amount of competition that we're facing, there's really actually no competition. Your only competition now is COVID-19. Prices and margins don't matter as much as cleanliness and product availability. You know, I think this business means that you cannot definitely price gouge, but you can actually get a little better margin to help your revenues and your cash flow stream. This is also a great time for us to kind of start looking at our expenses, renegotiating contracts, eliminating services that are not valuable to us. Trim the fat, really. You know, look at all your expenses, look at your P&L thoroughly, and make those changes, right? Plan and forecast your cash flow, right? For the next few months, for the next time or next round of disaster that happens, or the next pandemic, right? Be prepared, be better prepared. And the most positive twist, actually, I think, out of all of this is that basically our business is considered essential. It's allowed to stay open. We're making a difference, right? All the Ismailis and the communities that we serve, we should be proud. Our TAs and institutions are here to support us. We need to show gratitude to our employees, to our TAs, to our trade associations, and to our credit unions for what they're doing. But this is our essential business. Our serving our community today is making us proud. We're allowed to stay open. That's the most positive thing that comes out of this.
So thank you, Iqbal. This is good. And so pivoting to Amin, there has been some buzz that COVID-19 will change in many respects how we live, how we shop as consumers, so essentially our behavior patterns. What are your thoughts about how things will change, if any, for the C-store side of the business?
Thanks, Afshi. That's a great question. Before I answer that, let me quickly add one more thing, which is very important, which I had discussed with Chairman Amin in the past about making sure during the store close down, if you for any reason have to close down your store, make sure you have proper insurance coverage. Make sure to revisit, look at your insurance policy, because it's very important to inform them. You might have some business income coverage that you can levy and make sure that you can get that money through the insurance. So look into that option as well. I just want to remind everybody of that option. And I forgot to mention in my comments earlier. Going back to how things are going to change. The biggest thing that I look at is how the normal industry operating standards will change. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were talking about making sure our restrooms are clean, making sure that, you know, we're providing a well-lit store, making sure our pumps are clean. And now with this COVID-19 situation, with the coronavirus, you know, unprecedented situation, we are seeing more and more customers are aware of these things. They're making sure that when they're fueling at the pump, they're feeling, you know, they're looking at all these, mostly they were not as, you know, usually back in normal days, you know, I would come into a store, I would put $20 in gas. I'm just thinking about work. I'm heading straight to work. I'm not thinking about some of these things. Now, being that everybody's home and they have more time to spend time with the family, more time to look at things online. So all these things will change. You know, we might have to make sure that we have these norms of the operations, you know, they will rise. These current situations that we're facing, they might become the standards now. We have to provide maybe a sanitizer at the pumps. We have to provide, you know, a cleaning napkins or towels or anything that's, you know, that's making your customer feel more welcome and safe. And you have to provide a healthy environment for them to shop. You know, if you look at it 2 years ago, we were looking at how to provide healthy snacks, how to provide healthy alternatives for customers that were walking in our stores. Now we have to provide both the healthy options for food as well as good and healthy environment, a safe environment for our customers. And we have to make sure that, you know, and I think I would highly recommend that, you know, the trade associations and NATO, we look into some of these contracts where we can go and look for these service companies that can provide some of these services on a regular basis. You know, maybe have an employee checklist, you know, that you can update, have it posted by the register, make sure the food counter, make sure the fountains, make sure your cash registers, make sure your pin pads, all that are being cleaned on a regular basis. And, you know, like we said earlier, what future, you know, do we see? You know, is it going to be where everybody's going to shop online? That's very unrealistic because they still want that human touch on items. People still will come to your stores and shop, right? They're still gonna come to our locations, spend money. But now more than ever, we have to be more alert on how we provide service, what kind of service. Our customer service will have to improve more than ever before. That human touch that I mentioned earlier, it's going to be the aspect on how do we improve in that. I think those are my thoughts on that, Afshi.
So thank you for that, Amin. There are a couple of questions that have come through the chat box that I'm going to direct to some of you. There's a question that has come up, and I'm going to direct this one to you. The question is, for PPP forgiveness, do we need to maintain both, one, the employee headcount, and two, the payroll level, or both?
I think both have to be maintained because the employee count is important, as well as the dollar amount, because 75% of the dollar amount minimum is subject to forgiveness on the loan.
Okay, thank you. And then Amjad, another question that has come through the chat box is, what if my store has been forced to close? Do I need to continue to pay my employees while I wait to file for the PPP or while I wait to get an approval for the PPP loan program?
One should still apply for the PPP because they qualify for it. And as long as, let's say if the pandemic gets over by the end of the month, which we all hope, and if you restore your original employee count by June 30th, most of the amounts that you have taken would be forgiven.
So is there not a period that that the government has set out that between a certain time period that the employees have to be hired or rehired, and then until a certain date that has to be maintained? Sorry, that question was for you. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to look through my notes because this is a very fluid thing that's going on right now in the paycheck protection. But I believe that it the rule said that as long as these employees are back at work by June 30th, you are at the original count, you would still qualify for the forgiveness.
Okay.
But again, I can check the rule and get back to the individual.
Sure. And I would like to make sure that we ask all of the audience members that because the PPP program is evolving, because I know that initially the government had put out a date of June 30th, and it seems like that may have evolved, even that date may be evolving. So please make sure that you contact the Access line for more information to stay up to speed. There are experts who are keeping a track of this on an ongoing basis as well. So please make sure that you contact the Access line for the up-to-date information. So Access does have trained professionals that they will connect you with. So there's another question that has come up through the chat box that we will put. So the question is Nizari accepting PPP applications even if we don't have business accounts there? So as of today, when Nizari does start to accept the PPP applications, they will ask all individuals to be members at Nizari, and this will be something that Nizari will continue to share as that program is also evolving. But yes, you will need to have an account at Nizari to be able to do any transactions with them. Acha. The next question that we have is for Chairman Mehdi. Chairman साहब एक सवाल आया है कि काफी सवाल आ रहे हैं इस पे कि can the TAs जमात C-stores की मदद कर सकती है to acquire sanitizers, masks, and other personal protection products? और अगर ये discount, is a TA discounts negotiate कर रही है या TAs are assisting to make these products available to the C-store owners?
Sure. So, of course, at the Gamma, we definitely did what we sent out some gloves for free, and then sanitizers and the mask. At the same time, we are trying to accommodate more quantity to provide them more so they can buy it, and then they either they can use it or even sell it at the store. So we're trying our best, but as you know, the quantities, these items are hard to get at today's market. But I'm still assuming that we are getting some products, by the vendors, but sometimes they send only 50% of the order that we place. And at the other PAs, I've been checking with other presidents. They are doing same thing. They are calling the vendors and try to accommodate those core products for their employees, and even for if they have extra for their sales. So if anybody having a trouble getting those products, please contact us or call at least your TA leadership, and we'll try to accommodate them too.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Saab. Another question that has come to the chat box is, can landlords apply for EIDL if they have no payroll but have mortgage? So the answer to that is yes, landlords can apply, and the EIDL application is, the funds of the application of the funds can be used for mortgage. Another question that has also come up on the chat box is, if your business is still making profit, can you still apply for PPP? Yes, the PPP loan is based on you continuing to keep your employees employed, and or if you've had to let employees go, like to be able to rehire or hire new employees. So it is not based on you making a profit, it is based on you maintaining a payroll or coming back to a payroll level. And on that note, I also wanted to make sure I remind the audience and the participants that we need to think of the long-term benefits and impacts of this pandemic. So definitely before letting people go, we should think about applying for this PPP loan, because this does help us maintain our payroll and or allow us to rehire and hire and people to reopen our stores and our businesses. So this next question that is coming through the chat box, I'm going to put it to you, Amjad. The question is, I just bought a business in December and made a corporation, and since I'm still using the old owner's license, I haven't started giving out payroll. How can I apply for PPP and EIDL to make payments for loan and rent? Amjad?
If this individual has bought the corporation, then it may be a different thing. But if he has bought the assets of the business, then I think it needs further investigation. There is no straight answer to that, Afshin.
Okay, thank you. And again, I urge the Jamaat to please call the access line. We do have trained professionals who can continue to answer these questions as the answers evolve from the government. So please make sure that you're calling the access line and connecting with the professionals who can assist you with it. So on that note, I wanted to thank all the speakers for sharing their time with us this afternoon, including all the audience and participants who have been submitting their questions. The Jamaati institutions are here to assist the Jamaat in various ways, and you should know that the institutions have come together to assist. The 3 community credit unions and our TAs are here and ready to help, and Jamaati members with specific areas of expertise are fully engaged to guide the Jamaat in need of assistance. So we encourage all Jamaati members to reach out to the institutions with additional questions or for assistance, including any of the loan programs mentioned here today, by the Access Helpline at 844-552-2237. EPB has also created an economic resource guide, and this guide will be updated constantly so that the Jamaat and volunteers have access to the latest information on what federal, state, local, and corporate financial relief resources are available for businesses and individuals. EPB is also developing additional webinars with in-depth insights and tools for the benefit of the Jamaat. So please stay tuned for future webinar announcements and for the video that will be put out on how to apply for the PPP loan itself. Thank you again, and Yali Madat.